What's up, sisters? This is your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, because today we're going to be building an incredibly powerful Elven Blade Dancer using the modded Duskblade class. Before we get into it, thank you so much for watching. If you like these kind of videos, leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe for more modded Baldur's Gate 3 content. But without further ado, let's get straight into the build. First off, this build uses mods, so we should discuss which mods we're going to use to create this character. We're going to be using the Duskblade class by BG3 Duskblade class. Although there are 3 Duskblade class mods available on the in-game mod manager, this one was just approved for console users, so it's the one that I'm going to be using today. Additionally, this class is compatible with Mistress Spells mod, which is going to help us make up the majority of our offensive capabilities. Those are the main 2 mods that you'll need to be able to build this character. Everything else that I'm using, like Gale's skin color and the armor dye, is cosmetic in scope, so is otherwise irrelevant. A little bit of background on the Duskblade. The Duskblade class is based on, well, the Duskblade class from Dungeons & Dragons 3.5e. Duskblade combat uses elven techniques to weave magic-infused weapon attacks and can use spells and melee interchangeably. They aren't quite blaster casters like sorcerers or martial masters like fighters, but somewhere in between. At the end of the day, this build is going to be kind of like an Eldritch Knight fighter, but with more spellcasting abilities to make our weapon attacks stronger. I've also themed everything around Corellin Lorethian, because blade dancing elves, and it matches up with one of the core weapons of this build. But let's go ahead and start leveling this character up. Starting at level 1, we're beginning with the Duskblade class. We're going all the way to 12 with this class, so no need to worry about multi-classing. One of the main features of this class is Arcane Strike. While not wearing heavy armor or using a shield, attacks with either one-handed or versatile weapons deal an additional 1d4 force damage. The important thing to note here is that strictly two-handed weapons are not applicable, but if we wield a versatile weapon in both hands, we still get this benefit. We'll talk about what this means for us when we go over our ability scores and our weapons later on in the video. One of the features this build will eventually get is the ability to cast a cantrip or spell and follow it up with a free weapon attack. So we want to have cantrips that can work for us in combat. For that reason, we're going to be starting with Booming Blade, Blade Ward, and Minor Illusion. Booming Blade will let us do even more weapon damage, adding thunder damage to our weapons and thunder damage if they move afterwards. Blade Ward will give us some extra defensive boosts and allows us to imbue ourselves with a nice big defensive boost and then do a weapon attack anyway so that we can stay on the front lines a little bit longer. And Minor Illusion is a great utility that will allow us to distract our enemies and then hit them with a weapon attack. For our ability scores, we want to be about even in our intelligence and dexterity stats. Despite being a Spellblade style character, our spellcasting modifier isn't used for weapon attacks, so we still want to put some points into an attack ability, and my recommendation here is dexterity. Our intelligence is going to be primarily used for the occasional offensive spell, while dexterity is going to give us extra armor class, initiative, and hit chance / weapon damage. Later down the line, we'll also get a passive feature which adds our intelligence modifier to our armor class, so we get double buffed out of that. Because of that, we're going to set both of these, our dexterity and intelligence, to a 16, so that we can get the most out of those that we can. We want our constitution to be 14 for concentration checks and the additional HP. Our wisdom, we want to take a 12. I pretty much always take wisdom at 12 unless we're building a cleric, druid, or ranger whose primary ability is their wisdom. And we're going to be dumping our charisma and our strength at both 8. That's pretty much all for level 1 for this character, so let's move on to level 2. At level 2, we get access to Arcane Metal, which gives us advantage on concentration checks, which is basically a free Warcaster feat. Really awesome. We'll also get to pick up 2 spells, and my first pick is definitely going to be Shield for the extra +5 armor class at will. On top of that, I'm going to be taking Longstrider so we can move farther in combat. That's pretty much it for level 2, so let's go to level 3. At level 3, we get to pick our subclass. Spell Shield is a primarily defensive subclass which mitigates damage done to us. Spell Blade is an offensive melee attacker, and Spell Soul is more focused on spell casting. For this build, we're going to take the Spellblade subclass. This will grant us a +2 bonus to attack rolls, helping us be more accurate with our weapon attacks. We also get to choose a new spell, and I'm going to be choosing the Gift of Alacrity, which is from the Mistress Spells mod. This is a buff spell that gives us a +2 to our initiative, which is super helpful with pretty much any character. At level 4, we get to choose a new cantrip, and I am going to go with Bone Chill, because removing an enemy's healing capability is very useful. You could pick otherwise whatever you want. You could do Shocking Grasp, Ray of Frost. It's really up to you and how you want to play this character. We also get access to our first second level spell, and there are a lot of options for us to choose from. If you wanted to go with Shadow Blade, you could have a literal blade made of dusk. You could also use Force Weapon for an additional +1 enchantment and 1d4 force damage. Mirror Image is also a fantastic pick, and one that we'll be taking eventually anyway. For that reason, I'm going to be taking Force Weapon for these early levels. And for our level 4 feat, we're going to be going with Great Weapon Master. But why though? We can't use two-handed strength weapons, and our strength stat is an 8. So why would we get that? Well, if we use a finesse weapon, we can use dexterity instead of strength and still get the benefit of our arcane strike with a versatile two-handed weapon. That said, there are only 2 versatile finesse weapons in the game, and we're going to be using either of them. And doing so will give us a massive damage boost with a dex-based great weapon, which is really cool. At level 5, we get access to our extra attack and also Arcane Flurry. With Arcane Flurry, we get a free weapon attack after casting a cantrip or level 1 spell, which just allows us to use those interchangeably with a regular weapon attack. For our new spell, I'm going to be grabbing Mirror Image, which I wanted to grab last time, but now we have it. Really awesome for some good armor class boosting. At level 6, we get Arcane Armor, which allows us to add our Intelligence modifier to our armor class. So with a 16 in both Dexterity and Intelligence, we can get a +6 bonus to our armor class total. We also get to choose a new spell, and since our main concentration spell is Force Weapon, we don't want to load up on too many new concentration spells. Because of that, we're going to go with Misty Step for a great movement utility. At level 7, we get Improved Critical, which increases our critical hit chance like the Champion Fighter subclass feature. The number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking with a weapon is reduced by 1. This effect can stack. Really awesome. We also finally get access to 3rd level spells, and I'm going to grab Counterspell because it is just too good to pass up. At level 8, we get to choose another spell, and I'm going to be taking Pulse Wave from Mistress Spells mod. This is a force damage-based Thunder Wave-like spell that allows us to either push or pull enemies, dealing 6d6 force damage. It's a little bit similar to Psionic Blast, which would allow you to just push enemies, knocking them prone, and does a little bit more damage, but I like Pulse Wave because I like being able to pull them in so that then we can hit them with a melee attack, which is really fun. For our feat at level 8, we're just going to take an ability score improvement for a +2 bonus to our Dexterity, which increases our weapon damage, our hit chance, our armor class, and initiative all in one. At level 9, we get access to Arcane Penetration. Your understanding of magic channeling allows you to break through magic defense more readily than normal. When you hit a creature with Arcane Strike, it has disadvantage on its next saving throw against a spell that you cast before the end of your next turn. This is kind of like the Eldritch Inertia ability that the Eldritch Knight gets, but it is as a Duskblade. This is going to count as a condition that is imposed on our enemies, so this is really great because it means that we can trigger items that will give us bonuses when we apply conditions to our enemies. We also get to choose a new spell, and I'm going to be taking Glyph of Warding so that we have a good area of effect spell to throw down and do some good damage in case we need to hit a lot of creatures at one time. At level 10, we learn Improved Arcane Strike, which bumps our extra force damage on our weapon attacks to a 6 to 15 damage. This is really cool because it basically means that now every single weapon attack we do is just going to have a force-based smite on top of it, which is really powerful and really great. For our new cantrip, you can take pretty much whatever you want. I'm going to grab Mage Hand. And at this point, we also get access to 4th level spells, and we have some really cool options available for us. There is, however, one spell that is going to be our new primary concentration spell of choice, and will be the centerpiece of our build. Illusory Weapon from Mistress Spells allows us to concentrate on making our weapon literally invisible. Because enemies can't see it, we get advantage on our weapon attacks. If you ever used the Unseen Menace pike from the Kresh vendor, that weapon has this effect permanently, but with this spell, we can apply it to any weapon that we want. We now no longer need Force Weapon, so I'm going to replace it with another spell, and we are going to go with Magic Missile, if I can find it. Where are you, Magic Missile? Hello? There it is. Too many spells to look at. Because we're putting most of our points into dexterity at this point for our weapon attacks, our spell hit chance isn't super high, so we don't want to take anything that relies on hit chance that much, and Magic Missile is the one. At level 11, we get access to Improved Arcane Flurry, making it so that we can get our free weapon attack after any spell, not just cantrips and first level spells, which is really great and just gives us another boost to be able to cast whatever spell we want to and then get a weapon attack. For our new 4th level spell, I'm going to be taking Ice Storm, just so that we have another big area of effect spell, just in case we need it. You could take pretty much whatever you think you need though, and by this point you generally have a good idea of what your party is in need of. And finally, at level 12, we get access to 5th level spells. And as our capstone ability, we're going to be grabbing a spell from the Mistress Spells mod called Steel Wind Strike. This allows us to choose 5 targets to attack. It's kind of like when Shadow the Hedgehog teleports from enemy to enemy, and it really feeds into that blade dancing aspect of this character. For our last feat, we're going to be taking another ability score improvement for 2 more points into dexterity. If you're playing on honor mode, you could grab the alert feat. I would recommend grabbing that earlier than this, but if you're going to be playing this character on honor mode, then alert is always a very good choice. But I am going to go with the dexterity points because more damage. That's the end of leveling for this character, so let's take a look at the gear and equipment that really brings this build together. First off, the most important part of this build is our improved Arcane Strike. You have perfected channeling Arcane Power through your weapon attacks while not wearing heavy armor or using a shield. Your attacks with a one-handed or versatile weapon deal an additional 6 to 15 force damage. Since we're using dexterity, we want to use a finesse weapon that is also versatile, and like I mentioned before, there are only 2 of these in the game. The 2 that are available to us are the ever-popular Phalar Alluve, which you could certainly use if you wanted to, but I like using this on a bard. Instead, we're going to be using Lorethian's Wrath. This is a sword which you can grab from the vendor also at the creche, and is the other finesse versatile longsword in the game. It would be really cool if we could use the Dancing Breeze, but because it is a strictly two-handed weapon, not versatile, it does not get this bonus. So because of that, we're going to use Lorethian's Wrath so that we can really just kind of embody the whole Elven, Corellan, Lorethian vibe. We can gain the benefits of the versatile weapon damage while also getting the bonuses of our dexterity stat instead of using strength. After we have the Great Weapon Master and this weapon in our hands, we're going to be doing 19 to 28 damage, 1d10 plus 18 on our hits, plus the gloves that we're going to be wearing, which will give us another little boost. This weapon also gives us access to Razor Gale. Swing your weapon in a Cyclone of Steel that deals a razor blade sharp damage to all enemies within range. It's like a small little AoE cone here that does a bunch of extra damage to our enemies. It does 1d10 plus 24, which is crazy AoE damage to have. We can use this feature once per short rest, so it's not going to be the majority of our damage, but it's going to be a fun ability that we can use if we have some enemies in front of us and want to do some AoE in a cone. For our helmet, we're going to be using the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. When you inflict a condition, gain Arcane Synergy for 2 rounds. When we have stacks of Arcane Synergy, we get weapon attacks deal additional damage equal to affected entity's spellcasting modifier. Because our spellcasting modifier is a +3, we'll get a nice +3 damage to our bonus every time that we have this available to us. And because of our Arcane Penetration ability, we'll be applying the disadvantage on the next saving throw against a spell you cast before the end of our turn, so that condition allows us to gain our Arcane Synergy stacks, which is really helpful and gives us even more melee damage. For our cape, we're going to use the Cloak of Protection for a +1 to our armor class and saving throws. You could use whatever cape you want, but I like this one because it's useful on pretty much every character. We're also going to be using the Armor of Agility, which is one of the armors that allows us to add our full dexterity modifier to our armor class. Additionally, this armor does not impose disadvantage on stealth ability checks and gives us a saving throw bonus of +2. Because we have a dexterity score of 20, we can add a +5 to our armor class, and because we have arcane armor, we can add a +3 from our intelligence score. At the end of the day, we now have a 26 armor class, with a 17 base from our armor, +5 from our dexterity score, +1 from the Cloak of Protection, and +3 from our intelligence modifier. The reason that we didn't put all of our points into intelligence for armor class is because dexterity gives us so many more things, and we only get +1 per modifier level, so we might as well get the extra initiative and the extra armor class and the extra everything that we get out of dex, and the extra hit chance and damage that we get out of our dexterity score. So even though we're wearing medium armor, we have an incredibly high armor class, which is really great for this character. It means that we're not going to be getting hit very often. Additionally, we're going to be using the Legacy of the Master's Gloves, which give us a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons, which is also medium armor and is really great because it just means that we have a higher hit chance and a little bit more damage with all of our attacks. For our boots, we're going to use the Boots of Striding. When you cast a spell that requires concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn, and while you are concentrating, you can't get knocked prone or be moved against your will. Because the Illusory Weapon spell is concentration, we're going to be concentrating from the moment that we wake up in the morning until the moment we go to bed. Since we're concentrating all of the time, we will not ever be able to be knocked prone and can't be moved against our will, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for enemies to knock us out of our concentration. We also got that bonus that gives us advantage on our concentration checks, so it's going to be very rare that we are able to be knocked out of our concentration and people will be able to see our weapon. For our amulet, we're going to use the Spellcrux amulet, which is just a really good necklace that gives us an extra spell slot of our choice each day. You could use it on a 4th level or a 5th level spell, whatever you want to. For our rings, we're going to be using the Ring of Free Action. You ignore effects of difficult terrain and cannot be paralyzed or restrained. This is just going to help us to be able to dance freely around the field and use our weapon attacks as often as we want. And we're also going to use the Strange Conduit Ring while concentrating on a spell. The wearer's weapon attacks deal an additional 1d4 psychic damage. Like I mentioned before, we're going to be concentrating pretty much all the time, so we might as well get the bonus of the 1d4 psychic damage at will. And for our bow, we're going to be using the Vicious Short Bow. This gives us the bonus Dolor Amaris. When you land a critical hit with a weapon or unarmed attack, it deals an additional 7 damage. So this just means that whenever we do our critical hits, because we're going to be doing them relatively often, we have increased hit chance. We have increased crit chance, Because we have increased crit chance, we're just going to be doing that extra often, and whenever we have a crit, we'll just do extra damage out of it. So might as well grab it as a nice stat stick. But that pretty much takes care of all of the items for this character, so let's look at some of our abilities and add them to our character so we can get ourselves going. When you're at the early levels, before you have access to Illusory Weapon, we're going to be using our Force Weapon instead of that, so we're just going to use that spell. But for this purpose, since we are at level 12, we're going to use our Illusory Weapon. When we cast this on ourselves, as you can see right here, our longsword has just gone invisible, and now we get the benefits of the Illusory Weapon, which means we have advantage on all of our attack rolls against enemies when we hit them with this weapon. We're also going to give ourselves our Long Strider buff, which is always nice to have. And then we're also going to use our Gift of Alacrity, which grants us a +2 bonus to initiative. You have the normal version, Gift of Alacrity here, which allows you to just give yourself a blanket +2 bonus to your initiative. But if you use it as a ritual spell, you can grant a creature +2 bonus to initiative, but prevent them from taking reactions. We use Counterspell on a reaction, so we don't really want to do this, and it's also nice to have weapon attack opportunity attacks. So we're going to go ahead and just use the spell slot level because we don't really have much of a use for our 1st level spell slots at this level. I'm also going to drink an Elixir of Bloodlust so that whenever we kill an enemy, we can get a free additional action so that we can just do more damage. But since that pretty much takes care of everything for our buffs and items, let's go ahead and go into some combat and see what this character can do. Come on, Gale. Let's go. So we're going to start over here with these 3 Flaming Fist guys, just so we can start off with a little bit of a smaller combat encounter. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to pop myself into turn-based mode, drink a potion of speed for the extra action, and now we can get to work. The first thing we're going to do is grab our main hand attack and hit this here guy. As you can see, the Illusory Weapon is giving us advantage on our attacks, plus all of our other bonuses. We have a 99% chance to hit. Boom! 25 damage and 14 attack. We have an initiative of 10, really awesome. And now we have our extra attacks to mess around with. So this guy's pretty much already dead. Let's just hit him. Boom! 12 and 23 damage, and we still have more actions to go. We killed him, so we get a free action. Let's go ahead and pop over here. This guy, you're dead. We still have our extra action, so let's hit him again. And because we're applying the effect of the Arcane Inertia, we are getting our Arcane Synergy stacks, adding +3 to our weapon damage, and now we can still do more. And that was our last attack, so let's go ahead and end our turn. That's a miss. Sorry, bud. Now we're going to do a Booming Blade, just so I can show you what that looks like. And boom! 7 and 20. Because that is not a full weapon attack, it doesn't benefit from our force damage item. So that one is just good to be able to apply that. But otherwise, we're going to go boom, and we missed again, so that's okay. We still have our action from our Potion of Speed, so let's hit him again. Critical hit, 24 and 36. That's a lot of damage. Oh my god.
That's a lot of damage. How about a little more?
Come here, Fisty. I'm coming for you. I think I want to use Steel Wind Strike. Boom, 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 boom. Are you ready? Oh, wait, no. Not yet. I'm not ready. We're going to do this first. We're gonna drink a potion. Okay, now are you ready? Are you ready? No,
that's a lot of damage!
I have no idea what happened there. But this guy died. And we still have our action, so what do we do? Let's use our bonus action to get back our 5th level spell slot. Because now we can do it again. And there's not a 5th person, so I hit him. I can hit him! Ha 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 ha! And we're gonna shield. And now, because we killed a bunch of people, we have extra action. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, miss. Boom! Let's hit him again. Boom! Let's hit him again. Boom! Let's hit this guy. Oh, miss. That's okay. Let's end our turn. You missed. Missed again. What's next? What are you gonna try? You dash, so you can't do anything. Oh, I didn't even use my Great Weapon Master bonus attack. Nah, I don't really care about that. You're gonna die soon anyway. How dare you! Disarming attack my ass. That's actually a huge bummer. Let's pick it back up. And, where is it? Right here. It's still invisible? I'm not sure. No, but we can still do some pretty good damage. Woohoo! Let's keep going, buddy. Woo! That's another death. Alright, let's get this guy now. We got really good movement speed. Boom! Okay, this feels unfair. This feels really unfair. What have I done? Miss! Miss! Or, well... Oh, I'm... stinky. Shield. Ha ha ha! Let's go hit him. This way. Ouchie. Ouchie. Oh, dang. Sorry. This feels really unfair. Oh my god, I didn't realize how powerful this was. I thought I was going to have more difficulty going up against those guys. I mean, obviously I did some crazy burst damage by using my Steel Wind Strike twice, and it does insane damage, but that was crazy. They didn't stand a chance against this Duskblade. But that pretty much does it for this Blade Dancing Duskblade build. What do you think of this one? It's kind of crazy how much damage it can do while using a dex-based longsword, and it's a ton of fun to play with. Is there anything that you would do differently with this build? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see y'all in the next one.